Hi guys, the desperation of the Tory party is growing day by day, so no doubt a rumour that's growing legs at the moment is that Boris Johnson may be drafted in to help Rishi Sunak. Of course, this would be a pretty big mistake, but many in the Conservative Party don't understand why. James Cleverly was invited onto the Sophie Reid show where he tried to dodge this question, but eventually gave in and said yes, Boris Johnson should be on board. This would be a massive mistake.
In football terms, it feels a bit like right now, you're 5-0 down, you need all your strikers on the pitch. Would you like to see Boris Johnson playing more of a role in the election campaign?
Well, I'm always keen to get the whole Conservative family campaigning as hard as possible at a general election. So, of course, all the members of the party, all the people who want to see a Conservative government and want to protect the British people from the bonkers ideas that the Labour Party are putting forward.
So you would? Is that a yes? Is that a yes?
Yeah, Boris Johnson is a subset of everybody, yes. So in terms of the Venn diagram, that I would like to see everybody who is a Conservative out campaigning for the Conservative Party, and that by definition also includes Boris Johnson.
Okay.
Okay, so look, let's look at the positives first. Well, there's only really one positive of having Boris Johnson on board. He's a good campaigner. That's about it. But unfortunately for the Conservatives, the negatives, I believe, outweigh any real positive. So what are the negatives? Well, if we look back over the last number of years, the real massive drop we saw for the support for the Conservatives happened on two occasions. One was, of course, the mini budget, Liz Truss, Kwasi Kwarteng's mini budget, that saw a massive drop, 6% drop in support for the Conservatives. The previous massive drop, once again 6%, was Partygate. So, and who was responsible for Partygate? Boris Johnson. So bringing Boris Johnson back would of course reopen the old wounds of Partygate. So once again, I don't see any real advantage there. There's also this issue of backstabbing. Rishi Sunak was criticised as backstabbing Boris Johnson, and then when Boris Johnson was removed and Rishi Sunak was in charge, there were attempts to remove Rishi Sunak or fight him in Parliament, and Boris Johnson was seen as a bit of a backstabber there. So, you have two leaders who don't really get on very well. And then, of course, if you have two leaders, a leader and an ex-leader together who don't like each other, you're going to end up with two captains on one ship. Who's going to be responsible? Who's actually going to be the campaign head? Will Boris Johnson be seen as overshadowing Rishi Sunak? Will Rishi Sunak be able to stamp his authority? Will he be sent into the back office and Boris Johnson will be at the front desk trying to sell the public the idea that you should stick with the Conservatives? And then finally, Boris Johnson is extremely lazy. So unless the Conservatives are going to give him a huge amount of money, he's not going to get off his backside. We've seen before when he was asked to come out and campaign for a councillor, he did it from inside a taxi. He couldn't be bothered walking around the street. Boris Johnson will campaign for Boris Johnson. He won't campaign for anyone else, really. So if Boris Johnson's not going to benefit from this in some way, then he's not going to bother campaigning for the Conservatives. And also, I don't think Johnson wants to be connected with a losing campaign. This is going to lose. Boris Johnson can't resurrect this and can't turn things around, no matter how much Conservative voters love him. The public don't. So the Conservatives are going to lose anyway, and I don't think Boris Johnson wants to be connected to that. In the same way as Liz Truss doesn't want to be connected to that. They want to offload all the responsibility onto Rishi Sunak. When it crashes and burns, he will be blamed, and then the new party will try to move further to the right, saying, look, we tried moderate policies, we tried moving to the centre, which is of course not true. But we tried that, it didn't work, now we need to double down on being more right-wing. So, as I said, bringing back Boris Johnson would have some benefits, maybe one benefit, but it would come at a massive cost. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.